Good morning, good evening. This is Stephen Munatones. I'm the CEO and co-founder of KAATSU Global, and I thank you very much for joining me on this Cyber Monday webinar. It's a webinar that I will host um, with my colleague, Chris Morgan, and we are doing this to answer any questions anyone may have regarding KAATSU. So if you wish, you can raise your hand or put information in the chat, or there's a Q&A section where you can type in any emails that any questions that you may have. And in lieu of that, I don't see any questions right now. I'm going to share my screen, and I will have a PowerPoint presentation where I will explain the who, the why, the what, the where, the when, and the how of KAATSU. Um, Perhaps this will enlighten you to some of the questions you may have. It may stimulate additional questions, so I'll begin. The first issue is the who of KAATSU. This is Dr. Sato. He is a gentleman 76 years old. He lives just southeast of Tokyo, and that's where I met him 25 years ago. This is an undoctored photo. His arms are truly that big, and what is most remarkable is that he doesn't lift any heavy weights. He lifts weights, but it's usually just the first plate or the barbell or the dumbbell that he's lifting. What he does, though, is he puts his bands on at quite a high pressure. But who really did cut? Oh, sorry. Let me expand this so you don't need to see my face, but you can. There we go. So who did Dr. Sato actually create this for? Dr. Sato created this for actually anyone to do anywhere at any time. And that would include people working in the office, people who are relaxing at home, people who are older, people are on an airplane, people who are amputees, who are overweight, and just anyone who has any physical need or vascular need for KAATSU. It also includes many, many Olympic and professional athletes. You can see just a small sliver of them here. You could see some of our athletes who are using KAATSU actually at the Olympics. These are actual photos at the Olympics. This is actually Noah Syndergaard. He is a pitcher, formerly for the Mets and the Dodgers. He used it quite often in the clubhouse, as do other teams, from the Dodgers to the Red Sox. Where's my cursor? Where is my cursor? Here it is. This is a picture of Thomas Chaby, Captain Thomas Chaby. He's a Navy SEAL, and this is actually a photo capturing him the very first time he tried KAATSU. You can see the bands on his arm here. This is Dr. Sato here. They were doing some just quick bicep curls, and we took off the bands and we asked Captain Chaby how did he feel, and his face tells or his expression tells you how he felt. We do work with a lot of special operators. Those are your Navy SEALs, Green Berets, and other individuals, and you can see them here with their working out. But we do work with a lot of them who unfortunately may have had a amputation or some other horrific injury. I'm hoping you can hear this video. This is a video of a Marine Corps Sergeant, Justin Sponagel. He had just had his left lower left arm amputated, and this is the first time that he was using KAATSU. The voice you hear is of a Navy SEAL explaining and asking him questions about KAATSU. So here we go. Hopefully you can hear the voices here. Oh, let me put it. Sorry. Um, I need to. We immediately went down to 10, then 8. Now he's at 5 pounds. Justin, KAATSU cycles with movement like this. What's it feel like?
Oh, it's ridiculous. Feels like I'm doing 80 pounds. Wow.
Get after it, brother. How's your left arm feeling?
Like I got weight in that one too. It's feeling good.
Excellent. Keep going, brother. Give me 2 more. Good job. So I'm not quite sure if you heard that, but
Steven, we could hear it. We could hear it.
okay, great. So what Justin said was rather remarkable. He felt as if his left arm was lifting weights. Obviously, he has no hand, no barbell, but you could see if you look very closely at the end of his residual limb, how his muscles were reacting. I'll just do it again. Just look.
80 pounds. Wow.
Get after it, brother. How's your left arm feeling?
Like I got weight in that one too. It's feeling good.
Excellent. Keep going, brother. Give me 2 more. Good job. And this is afterwards where we asked him, Justin, this is going to Dr. Sato, man. What do you think?
Hey, Dr. Sato, I've been working with y'all for the past couple of days with this KAATSU program, and it is just absolutely amazing. I used it yesterday, and I'm using it today. Last night, my pain was significantly reduced when I was there. It was just impressive, man. I mean, obviously amazing. I put my prosthetic.
Sorry. Hi. I don't know why this popped up. Um, oh, I'll do that again. Sorry.
And I could fire it better. And this is just an amazing program, and I really appreciate it. I really do.
Awesome. Thanks, Justin.
No worries. Thank you.
And you'll be getting one in a few days. Compliments of Operation Healing Forces, brother.
KAATSU strong, brother.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
No worries.
We deal with a lot of soldiers who've sacrificed a lot. This is Jonathan. You could see the leg band on his residual leg here and the KAATSU B2 units on his arms. If you have time, we have a Green Beret who is a Purple Heart recipient, Joe Lowry. You can go to our website, kaatsu.com, go to our YouTube channel, and Joe tells of the story of how he was shot in the head, became a hemiplegic, so one side of his body was affected, and how he's used KAATSU on his journey back. It's inspirational, it's insightful, and it's educational. So if you have time, look at this video. We won't show it here. It's about 20 minutes, but Joe is an incredible individual. He grew up in an area near me in Long Beach, California, and he's a great guy. His story is a great one to hear. Obviously, we work with people who have amputations. You see the legs. I'm sorry, you see the KAATSU leg bands on the individual here. And this is another story, another incredible inspirational story. In 2010, this gentleman here, Todd Lodwick, won a silver medal in the Nordic combined with his teammates. It's a rarity that Americans win a podium position in Nordic combined, which is ski jumping and cross-country skiing. It's two sports combined. It's usually dominated by Scandinavian athletes, and so they were the defending silver medalists, going into the Sochi Olympics, which was in 2014. So in 2014, the team traveled over to Europe for their final um, training uh, sessions in Europe, and this happened to Todd. It was a horrific accident. And what happened was he broke his humerus and tore ligaments in his shoulder. So it was quite a mess. The doctor said, obviously, sorry, doctor said, well, you can either have surgery or you have surgery. But the team doctor at that time had heard about KAATSU being used by Japanese injured athletes. He called us up, and this is the story. So he was injured in that ski jump on January 7th. He flew back the next day, and by July 9th, 2 days later, 48 hours, you could see that we immobilized his arm, but he was also using KAATSU bands.
Can I
His
pan?
arms.
I know, right?
Okay, slow it down a little and intense.
So what you're hearing the voice of the team doctor who we taught how to use KAATSU. You could see the bands on one arm and the other arm. This is the arm again that humerus was broken, torn ligaments, and he's opening and closing one hand, and he's doing bicep curls on another. Why he's doing that is so he can generate lactate or lactic acid in his muscle. When he does that, the information is sent up through the central nervous system to his brain and to his pituitary gland, and then out comes growth hormone is one molecule that is produced that actually helps the body heal. So we generate the growth hormone by using the bands and doing simple unweighted exercises.
I go put the ice in the bath.
Do it.
Now you can see a grimace on his face. This is a Olympic athlete who's extraordinarily fit. He's one of the fittest athletes in America, and yet he's grimacing because he's feeling that lactate burn in his arm. You can see him here, still with
To not,
the
or to handle the upper
thing
body
on his
pressure,
arm.
or is in the wrist.
squeezing his
Or-
hand, doing bicep curls. It's obviously not
I'll
easy.
show you the email when that.
We also had him do bands on his legs as he was practicing cross-country skiing on the treadmill they have up in Park City, Utah. You see his arm is still immobilized. Still immobilized. Hot bands on his legs. Now, 7 days after he was injured, he was able to not use a sling. And here he's practicing his jump that he does off the ski jump. He's got the COTS bands on his legs, and it's not an easy workout. This was the day that he was re-examined before the Olympics because he needed to be cleared medically in order to represent the United States, and he was obviously quite happy. This is the moment they told him, "You're good to go." So no surgery, no cast, just KAATSU cycles. This was before he began KAATSU, but after his injury, and this is 28 days later, and this was a result, and that's why he was cleared for the Olympics. And remarkably, he was selected by his fellow Winter Olympians to be the American representative to be the flag bearer. And what's really remarkable about this photo is it was his left arm that was broken and the ligaments torn. And throughout the opening ceremonies, he carried the American flag in that arm. That is how fast he was able to rehabilitate using KAATSU. This is him at the Olympics doing the ski jump. In addition, this is Dr. Sato in his younger years doing KAATSU with sumo wrestlers. So we've done KAATSU with sumo wrestlers, volleyball players, uh, swimmers, divers, um, baseball players, football players, basketball players, in any number of sports from ice skating to arm wrestling. And that includes all of the Winter and Summer Olympics. In fact, Dr. Sato was teaching KAATSU to Japanese Olympic athletes as early as 1998. So 1988. 1988 Seoul Olympics was the first time KAATSU users were representing their country, in this case, Japan, at the Olympics. This is me. I was doing some testing with the bands, with some EEG experiments we were doing. Quite fascinating. This is Dr. Nakajima, the colleague of Dr. Sato. They were giving a lecture at the Harvard Medical School. Dr. Nakajima is the cardiologist who conducted a very detailed 10-year study of over 12,000 patients, including 2,000 cardiac rehab patients on KAATSU. And the groundbreaking work that these two gentlemen did at the University of Tokyo Hospital are what we do to this day. The protocols, the pressures, the placement of the bands, everything was first tested um, and documented, and then subject to or was the subject of numerous peer-reviewed scientific articles. This is Dr. Morita, the colleague of Dr. Nakajima and Dr. Sato. Here he is in the hospital with a heart attack survivor, again doing KAATSU on the legs. I had the honor and pleasure to study under all of these gentlemen. These were photos taken at a hospital, University of Tokyo Hospital. And they even went so far as to use KAATSU bands and do KAATSU on patients in the critical care unit. Again, here in the United States, that is not what American cardiologists do, but that's how far they've advanced KAATSU usage in Japan. So what is KAATSU? KAATSU is a modality that Dr. Sato came up with in 1966 when he was sitting Seiza. This is sitting Seiza, or sitting on your heels. When you do that, it becomes uncomfortable over a period of time. And when Dr. Sato felt his calf muscle, his calf muscle felt very tight, very pumped up. And he thought at the time it must be because blood is not going into the leg as he was sitting on it. That was what he originally thought. But after decades of experimentation and then clinical work, he determined that it wasn't that the blood was being cut off. It's actually because the blood is engorged in the limb that you're working on with KAATSU. So over the next 7 years from the moment he had that inspiration, he came up with a system for strengthening blood vessels with extreme ease using a compression and decompression system. That is what KAATSU is. This is a patent that Dr. Sato received, and this patent is the basis of how we use KAATSU and why we designed the equipment as we did. Years later, in 2022, at the World Congress of Sports Medicine, the International Olympic Committee Medical and Scientific Commission representative, Professor Yanis Pitslaitis, summarize KAATSU with these words. Positive, it produces positive adaptations for muscle mass, muscle strength, functional capacity, quality of life, and muscle mitochondrial function are achieved for people of all ages and walks of life with minimal movement and minimal effort with KAATSU. That was a very nice testimonial by an IOC medical and scientific committee member. This is the two products that we currently sell. Sorry about that. It is the B2. The B2 is wireless. It uses your cell phone and a mobile app to operate. You put the arms in the upper reaches of your arm, and the legs are at the upper reaches of the legs. The C4 is a connected device. You got a tube here that comes out of the controller and is connected to the arms or it's connected to the legs. Whether you use the C4 or the B2, you put the bands in the exact same place. Well, KAATSU may appear as a tourniquet or blood pressure cuff. And quite often, if you go online, you see a bunch of muscly men lifting heavy weights with bands around their arm. But KAATSU is not a tourniquet. It's not a blood pressure cuff. What KAATSU is, if you look closely, and this is a young woman with a blood pressure cuff on one arm and the KAATSU on the other. When you see the two units compared, they are completely different. The blood pressure cuff is designed, it's quite inflexible. When all of us have had our blood pressure taken before, the band inflates and it's quite uncomfortable. Fortunately, it doesn't last that long. When the KAATSU band is inflated, it's a gentle inflation. The purpose is the opposite of KAATSU. I'm sorry, the opposite of a blood pressure cuff. Blood pressure cuff tightens very tightly, so our arterial flow, the blood from our chest or our heart out to our limbs, is cut off or occluded. KAATSU, it was designed and manufactured to do the opposite. In other words, our arterial flow continues from the torso out to the limbs, arms or legs, and then when the band is inflated, this blood, which is called the returning blood or venous return, this venous return is slowed down. It's modified. And this is another view of the bands. So here, the band here, we took an image. So the armpit is here, the wrist is out here. This is the artery that brings the blood into the arm, and this is the vein bringing the blood back to the torso. You can see even when this band is tightened at 300 SKU, which is very tight, the artery is unimpeded. So blood continues as is. But when the band is inflated, and this represents where the band is, you can see a slight compression of the vein. So this means that some portion of the blood is slowed down, and therefore you get this kind of effect. So in one arm, this user does not have a band, and on the other side, it does have a band. So what's happening is blood is going in and out of this limb as it normally is, and on this limb, for 30 seconds, the blood is slowed down, coming back. That's exactly what KAATSU equipment is designed to do. And when that happens, the blood fills in all the small capillaries in the hand, the wrist, the forearm, and the upper arm. And that's what we want. That is the purpose of the KAATSU equipment, to engorge this the limb in blood, whether it's an arm or leg. And when we do that, that leads to a variety of processes in the body that are beneficial. I'll get into it a little bit later in the presentation. So when do we do this? We could do it in a gymnasium, a fitness. We can do it in the office. You could see this is me here in an office using KAATSU bands on my legs, doing some leg curls, doing some abdominal work. We can do it at home. We could do it during travel. We can do it in the office. Each of these people are using the same bands with different controller units. And we could do it while we're at home, relaxing, reading a book, watching TV, or listening to music. Now, why do we want to do all this? The first goal of KAATSU is to create a vascular elasticity, an improved vascular elasticity. We want our capillaries, our veins, our arteries to be as elastic, as pliable, as youthful as possible. And when we engorge the limb in blood, and this blood fills up the vascular tissue, and then it's released. So the blood is slowed down because the band actually fills up with air, and the girth around the arm is decreased. And then suddenly it's released. That blood rushes out normally, and nitric oxide and vascular endothelial cells are produced as a result. So we have pressure on, pressure off, pressure on, pressure off. And each time that it's off, the blood rushes back into the torso, and we get this production of these kind of molecules, and that helps our vascular tissue become more elastic. This is one of the goals of KAATSU, and you can see it here. So right now, she has a greater amount of blood in this arm versus this arm. What happens is you get 30 seconds of compression followed by 5 seconds of decompression. But every time there's another 30-second cycle, there's a slight increase in the compression. This is the patent. This is the magic. This is the reason why KAATSU can engorge a limb of blood. And then when it's engorged and you do slight movement, we call it micro movement. That could be holding a book. It could be typing on a computer. It could be texting. It could be brushing your teeth. It could be washing dishes. It just minor movement that actually leads to lactate buildup in the muscle. And when that happens, the lactate is a signal is sent up to the brain, up to your pituitary gland, and it's right behind the eyeballs. And then the brain senses some kind of stress, which we have with movement. You saw Todd when he was doing some bicep curls. You could see his grimace on his face. Then growth hormone and other molecules are released in the body, and that actually helps build muscle, build or maintain muscle. So how does it do it? To repeat, we have the band around the arm. The blood is engorged in the capillary beds in the arm or leg. When that happens, you got an inflation and deflation. You have the production of nitric oxide and vascular endothelial cells that helps the vascular tissue become more elastic. And then with movement, it could be vigorous movement like a push-up or burpee or running up stairs, or it could be micro movements like texting or typing on a computer will then build up lactate that's communicated to the brain, and the brain in response naturally produces growth hormone. So that's the how does KAATSU work. And once a growth hormone and other molecules are released by the body, by the brain, it flows through the vascular system all throughout the body. Some of the molecules that are released are listed here, from nitric oxide, growth hormone, insulin growth factor, vascular endothelial cells. plasmalogens, ceramides, beta endorphins, and BDNF. And that is what I have here. And I see we have some questions. Welcome, Chris. Chris is our Chief Performance Officer, and he does a lot of work with professional and Olympic athletes, as well as amputees and people who have MS and other and disabilities of all sorts. So the first question is, have any KAATSU users made mention of improved cognitive abilities? To the best of my knowledge, no KAATSU users have claimed improved cognitive abilities. However, that I think the improvement of cognitive abilities, which you can claim, does it make you smarter? Does it make you intelligent? We have no measurable parameters that can prove that. However, we do have the ability to confirm that we have increased cerebral blood flow, we have increased alpha wave activity, and we have increased mood, cognitive mood. So if you take those facts, that means we have a faster reaction time. And as Chris, as an Olympic coach, knows that when an athlete or a first responder or a business person or a business person making a presentation or a student taking an examination, when you can increase your reaction time, when you can increase your mood, when you can increase your cognitive awareness, this is actually huge. It has huge cognitive um, benefits. But I think that is separate from improved cognitive abilities. So what we're doing, and Chris just put on the bands. I have a band on my arm. I'm going to turn it on right now, and we'll here it is here. I have the B2, so I use this app. And with the app, I'm going to go into the advanced mode. Oh, I got to turn it on. I'm going to turn it on here. And now it's on my left arm. It turns blue and on arm. And here we go. So it's now on. So it's happening now. And Chris is doing his. The band girth decreases because air has gone into the band. So the band's girth slightly decreases. That means blood is going into the arm normally and is returned back more slowly. When that happens, you can actually see, and I don't know if the lighting can see. So I've had it on for now 30 seconds. You can see that this is my normal color of my hand, and this is my KAATSU color. It's slightly more pink because we've got blood coming into the arm, but it's being slowed down coming back. So the surplus blood fills in all the capillaries of your hand, and you can see on either side my arm color is darker with the KAATSU bands. So what does that mean? That means that I have more blood in this arm and I have less blood in the rest of my body. But the brain is smart enough to know that. And the brain needs and wants to have adequate blood supply. So what's happening right now, and with Chris, is our brain is literally creating new capillaries in the brain. We've documented this from the University of Tokyo in a half MRI machine, and then also the University of Lausanne in the same type of machine. So we've got increased cerebral blood flow, we have increased cerebral blood volume, and that leads to increased reaction time, greater alpha wave activity, and increased mood, which have been documented by scientists. The next question is, to determine which size of bands to order, when I'm taking measurements of my arms, do I keep the measurement tape snug or loose or medium around my limbs? and I assume that I take the measurement over my shirt and pants. So so two very good questions. We have four sizes of bands: small, medium, large, and extra large. And so what you want to do is take the measurement around your arm, right between your deltoid and your bicep, right in this crease. But if you normally are going to use KAATSU with clothes, do that tape measurement snugly around your arm, not loosely, snugly, not excessively tight, but snugly. So that's a very good question. You do the same on your leg. Do it snugly, not excessively tight, and do it over the clothing that you would normally wear when you would be using KAATSU. Um, let's see. Next question is, oh, sorry, I just closed. Did I read somewhere on the website that if a person has AFib, they should not use KAATSU? My father is in constant AFib. Yes, so we have a number of contraindications that we normally do not recommend using KAATSU. That being said, due to the groundbreaking work that Dr. Nakajima and Dr. Sato did in the University of Tokyo, where they did work with people with AFib and they did work with heart attack survivors and people with stents and strokes, etc., it doesn't actually completely rule out. So what we recommend that you do is you speak to your cardiologist if you have AFib, speak to your cardiologist, ask him or her if KAATSU can be used by you. Now, more than likely, the your cardiologist will not know what KAATSU is. He or she may have never heard of it. And what they will most likely do is Google KAATSU. They'll literally just Google KAATSU. They most likely 99% of the time will see a BFR equipment, a a tourniquet, and they'll say, heavens no, no way should you with AFib be putting on a blood pressure cuff at your home and tightening it down so you have partial or full occlusion. And they're absolutely right. You should not do that. But tell them about KAATSU. Send us an email, info@kaatsu.com. We will send you out the information that Dr. Nakajima developed for those who have AFib, had stroke, had a heart attack, had a stent implanted, have some kind of cardiac disease. So we will send you out that information, and then you can speak more intelligently about KAATSU with your cardiologist. And once they say yes, or if they say no, then we can follow up with you and them as to the protocols that you should use with KAATSU. So your protocols that you should use are not the same protocols that we saw with Todd, the Olympic silver medalist. That's way too intense. We have other protocols that are much more gentle and much more appropriate that Dr. Sato and Dr. Nakajima developed years ago. The next question is, when will the KAATSU B2 quad, which is 2 arms, 2 legs, in large size with the clamshells be available? I've been trying to purchase it with the discount offer now, but it says some items are no longer available. Please try again later. Um, Actually, if you, uh, I know today is the Cyber Monday 20% off. What I would do is order it and our customer service will respond to you. It's that the clamshells, we actually got way more orders than we ever imagined last week with Black Friday and today. We're absolutely inundated. We didn't imagine the response that we would get. And the clamshells, the very nice carrying case that we had. We didn't have enough. We ran out. We're going to have we since ordered last week, and they will be arriving in our warehouse at the end of January. So what we're doing right now for those customers who want to wait, we'll ship it out when we have the clamshells. Or if you want your product now, we could ship it out now and then ship out the clamshells later. But in order to get the 20% off, I would just make the what do you call it? I would make the order today and then send an email at info@kaatsu.com and explain that I want the clamshell, but I know they won't be ready until next January, or what um, is it 8 weeks from 6 to 8 weeks from now. Um,
Stephen, the question was also about the size large, which I believe,
yeah, we have large. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So just for that person, just definitely put that in your question to info@katsu.com.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, Next question. What are the benefits for the general public versus athletes or injuries? What are the benefits for the general public versus, oh, well, an athlete or a soldier typically wants to get back to the field of play or go to deployment as soon as possible. So they're doing KAATSU uh, multiple times a day, and they're doing KAATSU intensely. For the general public, if you don't need to get back to the field of play, so for example, we have some firefighters, some first responders who get injured, let's say skiing or surfing or playing pickup basketball. They got injured not in the line of work. For those individuals, they want to get back to their workplace as soon as possible. So they're doing KAATSU intensely. 2, 3 times a day, and they're doing it like Todd does. Todd had 28 days to make it to Olympics, and first responders or soldiers want to get back to their employment or their deployment as soon as possible. For the rest of us who aren't under such time pressures, the two big advantages that I see of KAATSU is it's convenient and it's easy to use. So if you, let's say, sprained your ankle or had a knee replacement or strained a muscle, not only can you go to your physical therapist to get physical therapy, perhaps twice a week, perhaps 3 times a week, but you can do the same rehabilitation movements with KAATSU at your home. And if you're someone like Chris himself, who A, broke some ribs, and B, broke his calcaneus bone or his heel, just shattered it. Chris is a coach, or he was a coach. Now, coaches with a broken heel bone need to get back faster. So what Chris did is he just used KAATSU, the KAATSU cycle over and over again throughout the day. Chris, how long when you broke your heel bone, um, how long and how many times were you doing KAATSU and how fast did you get back?
So they put me in a boot, Stephen, if you remember, and they said it would be because I was, younger then, a little older now, 6 to 8 weeks in a boot. I did KAATSU 3 times a day, KAATSU cycle, usually about 15 minutes, 3 times a day, and I was walking in 10 days.
Yeah. So for the general public, nobody wants to be in a boot. Nobody wants to be in a wheelchair. Nobody wants to use crutches for 6 to 8 weeks. So for the general public, you can do KAATSU easily and conveniently at your home, at work, during travel, and significantly reduce your downtime, significantly reduce your rehab time. So that would be the advantage for anybody, whether they're an athlete, soldier, or a student, um, a white or blue collar worker. Um, the next question is, so wearing it on the arms or legs helps the muscles throughout the whole body. Correct. So we know this because we've worked with uh, people who are amputees, people who are paraplegic, people who have different diseases from multiple sclerosis to cerebral palsy. In addition, what we do is perhaps we have some users who have a continuous glucose monitor on one arm, and so the continuous glucose monitor gets in the way of the band, so they use the band on the other side. But like we saw, Marine Sergeant Justin, he does bilateral exercise, but only with one band. If you do bilateral exercise, just as we saw with Justin, who didn't have a hand and wasn't holding the dumbbell in his hand, he was still exercising, or the muscles of that arm were still being exercised. So you can get the benefit of that. Um, in addition, there are some people who don't like to wear the arms, or there's other people who don't want to use the legs, but they want to work on both their upper body and lower body. So let's say we have an older woman or a younger boy who don't like the bands on their arms, but they want to increase their muscle mass of their bicep or tricep. In this case, we recommend that they put the bands on their legs, and as they walk, they're using their upper arms. They're doing a lot of vigorous movement with their upper arms. In addition, if you want to work on your core, the best thing to do, one of the best things that you can do, if you don't want to do crunches or ab work or sit-ups or planks, you can put bands on both your legs and then balance on one foot. Balance for as long as you can. If you can't balance for too long, hold on to a chair or a table. And then when that leg tires, switch and balance on your other foot. This will actually help build the core, your abdomen and your lower back. That's one exercise. The second exercise is I don't have a book in front of me, but let's say this is a book. Put a book on top of your head and just walk like a supermodel, with good posture, shoulders back, straight spine, and you could be walking back and forth in your office or in your house. And the second thing is what I tell the student athletes is, if in the exams, if you're not training, but you're studying, sit up straight with the CUTS bands on your legs and study your book or notes or whatever you have. So there are many ways to work the entire body with only one band or with two bands. Chris, did you want to add anything? I think we covered most of the questions, all of the questions. Oh, wait a second. Oh, no, we've,
Got all,
oh,
yeah, I think
okay.
we have a question that just came
Ah,
in.
okay. I just placed the order. This is a follow-up question to the uh, person who I was told to wait. I just placed the order without the clamshells. As Steven said, it was the clamshells that gave some items are not available error message. I'll order the clamshells later once they are available. It will be late January until I can get my hands on the B2 as I live in Ecuador. Welcome Ecuador. And I travel to the US in less than 2 months. Um, Great. Then uh, good to have a customer from Ecuador. I th I think you may be our first customer from Ecuador, which would give us 71 countries where we have KAATSU users. So thank you. Chris, did you want to say
No,
anything?
that was great. I apologize. My voice is hit we have snow. I'm in Boston, so snow coming in tomorrow. The weather has changed.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, good luck with your athletes that you work with at Boston
Yeah,
College.
no, we're excited, and Thank you to everyone who's attended some of these webinars over the last couple of days, those here tonight. And again, most important, I put it in the chat several times, Steve, is contrary to what people think, our answers are real people. That's why, we're trying to get to everyone's question, but please email them to info@kaatsu.com. And if our customer service team can't answer them, Stephen or I will get you the right answer. So we appreciate your questions.
Okay. Thank you much. Thank you very much, everybody. All right. Good night. Have a good week. Bye.